Hello everyone, this is Karen with Over the Artsy Moon, and I am going to be painting a Starry Night with a pumpkin theme tonight, or today I should say. It's not tonight right now. Wearing my Stitch Starry Night shirt, and let me just see if I can share this in to another group. Let me just get that going. All right, here we go. One sec. Share now. Share. Okay, there we go. Hey, I think I did it. All right. Cross your fingers, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to need, I've got an 11 by 14 inch canvas, and I've got a bunch of paint. I'll tell you about it as I go along. I'm going to start with a 3/4 inch brush, get that wet. And I haven't done this since I did something similar with my kids at elementary school when I was teaching art. I'm going to start with ultramarine blue, and we're just going to bring this in to our sky here. Okay, so I have a tracer available. If you're interested in that, just put that in, and I will get that to you fairly soon. And I've got an idea of where the swirl is going to be, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this. If you're doing this on canvas, you might want to take the time and do the top and the sides with the colors that we're using. If you're coming on, say hi and tell me where you're watching from. I'm going to kind of be a little bit careful here with the edges here of this blue. So I'm coming next to that pumpkin, but I'm not going to go over because blue is very powerful compared to the orange. This ultramarine is going to be pretty strong. So I'm just coming in here, and I'm just going to use the corner of my brush to go into those details. If you go over the stem, if you go over the pumpkin, it's okay. Like this little edge of the vine here, I'm just going to go over that. Okay, and then you don't want to have too much paint on here. You want to pull off any excess and blend that in. We're going to have a lot of marks on here later by the time we're done. And we don't need to have it super dark right now. And it'll take a long time to dry as well if you have it really dark, okay? Or not dark, if you have it really thick on there and gloppy. Okay, so I'm going to kind of bring these strokes down and start to fill that in. Hello, Rebecca. It's so nice to see you. And Rebecca's from Louisiana. Hello, Brandy. Nice to see you on here. And I'm just bringing my brush. See how I'm using it? I'm using it kind of flat. And then when I want to get next to the pumpkin, I'm just bringing my brush right there. And I've got a squash in the middle and then another pumpkin. So you can vary the colors of these. You could do 3 pumpkins if you wanted. You could just do 1 pumpkin. Maybe you want to do like a jack-o'-lantern. You could do that. It's really up to you. All you'd have to do is kind of trace out those ideas of what you'd like to do before you start painting. Right, so hope everybody's having a good day. I know it seems a little early for pumpkin stuff, but I don't know, it comes up so quickly that I'd like to get a little head start. And I know if you go shopping in the hobby stores, you start to see all the other stuff that comes after, right? Has anybody noticed that in the stores? Have you seen how they're already starting to do all their Christmas stuff in the stores? It's kind of crazy. So this is the ultramarine, and I'm using the 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going right next to the squash here. And of course, if you go over, it's okay, but we're just going to get an idea here. And I don't want to have to, if you're worried about this going over, you could always trace these with the, like a black permanent marker would work. And this is an idea of where my little crescent moon is going to be, but I'm going to paint right over that. Same thing with that one. You could always do, never too early for pumpkins. That's right, Brandy. We can have fun with that. And at the bottom you see here, I did not trace. That's where we're going to have some grass. So I'm going to, well, and you know what? They're beautiful in nature, right? We love all those things in nature, and they're so nice to be able to try and paint. If you're like me, you like painting flowers and all kinds of plants. Lately, I've been kind of obsessed with mushrooms. I started doing painting this dress. Is anybody? Oh, hello, Patricia. How nice to see you from Arcadia, California. That's wonderful. All right, so what I've done so far, everybody, is the ultramarine blue for the sky. And I have a tracer that I will get ready to send out if anybody's interested. It looks like a couple people are interested in that already. I just want to let you know, you could keep this all blue, or if you want to have it a little bit more October-y, you could add a little purple. So this one is called Violet Pansy, and I'll show you what that looks like, and then you can decide on your own. So I didn't really wash my brush off. I just dipped into that purple, and then you could pick a spot where you want it. If it looks like it's not light enough, take a little bit. I've got a natural color. Instead of white today, I'm using parchment. And I'm going to blend that up on my palette a little bit and then blend it in with that blue. And then I can add that in here. It's looking pretty light. So let me try adding just the purple back to that mix. I'm not loving that. You know what? So I think I am just going to ignore that purple and I'm going to go back and cover it up with blue. So I think this purple might be a little dark. If you wanted something like this, I'm trying to stick to folk art so it's less confusing, but this might be a nice color. This is from Deco Art, a magenta. That might be a good option to do if you want to add that purple in there. But let's keep it simple. And we're just going to do the ultramarine. See how fast that is to fix? If something like that happens, you can easily fix it and we're good to go. And you might notice how the blue is not totally covering the canvas completely. That's okay, because we're going to be adding so many layers with our little lines and our other details that it's not going to make a big difference. So let me see what we're going to do next. We are going to work on our pumpkins, but I'm going to take this brush and set that down. And then I have a number 4 round brush. I'm going to get that wet. And I'm just going to map out my lines. You can see I'm using a plate that had all kinds of other paint on it. And then it kind of dripped down because I've got a whole bunch on the other side. So I thought I've got a little clean spot there. I might as well use it, right? I'm all about trying to conserve if possible. So taking a little bit of that black, and we're just going to find our lines for our pumpkin. So just come in here. If you want, rest your pinky kind of on the edge. And this is good practice because then you don't have to have your lines exactly straight. You could kind of mess them up a little bit. But this is just to show us where the outlines of our pumpkin are. So when we start painting it, it's going to be there for us. Okay. And I'm not worrying about being perfect. I'm just trying to get the general idea in here. And then I'm kind of going to know where to go later with my paint. Okay, and I can do this a little bit up here. Come back over on this edge. I love how pumpkins are a little wonky always. Sometimes they get those rough edges and we don't have to worry about perfection. I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. So just add a little bit in there, and I'll even bring this up to where I had a little vine coming up. And we can do that with all of our, I don't know, are these vegetables? What are they? Squashes, okay? We'll call them squashes. Okay, so I've got this squash here, just coming with my lines. And this is a little more detailed, so if you want a more simple squash, just keep it super simple with those lines that make it look like you're right in front of it. Hope everybody's having a nice Thursday. It's Thursday today, but whenever you're watching, say hi. If you're on the replay, you can go ahead and type replay. Tell me where you're watching from. And look how messy that is right now. It's okay. It's all good. Oh, no. I got a visitor. You know, I gave them treats, and they are still Toby, say hi to everybody, and then you got to get off of my table. But they're still very inquisitive. And I've had these guys drink the paint water when I wasn't looking. Has that ever happened to anybody? It's so crazy. They love to just participate in everything. Although I don't know if every cat does, but these guys are Siberians. They're like little dogs. And they're good if you have any allergy issues. They're a good cat because at least I've noticed I have allergies, and it's good because they don't have as much protein in the dander or something, so then you don't have the same allergy issues. Anybody have pets out there? And they're very friendly. Okay, so that is really ugly right now, but hang on, it's going to get nice right away. I'm going to rinse this brush off, and I will go ahead and add my orange to the pumpkin. So I'm back to this brush, starting to look a little worse for wear. Let's take the orange and just start filling in. We can add some nuances in a little bit. This paint might still be wet, and that's actually a good thing because then it's going to make your pumpkin more interesting. So here you can see a little bit of the black pulled in there, and that's good. And I'll be adding more layers to this. I'm just going to start getting that color down and giving it something to rest on. And you can pull this down quite a bit, but we're going to have some grass at the bottom here. Paintings usually have kind of an awkward or an ugly phase. Oh, you do, Brandy? Oh, that's so funny. Do they get into your crafting and painting stuff, or are they pretty pretty much on their best behavior? Okay, see how it pulled the black there? And that's actually perfect because I want it to be darker at the back here because that'll look like more of a shadow. So I'm just going to use what's on my brush. And then I'm also going to take that black and go to the left side of these lines in front. Okay. All right. I'm going to get more and work on this pumpkin. Start to fill that in. And if you are watching and don't mind helping me with this, I would really appreciate it. Anytime you can do that, it really helps small businesses to be able to keep on doing stuff like this. Oh yeah, they definitely investigate everything. They are just so inquisitive. Okay, that's looking a little dark right here. No worries. Don't feel like it's a big issue because I can fix that and layer it. And maybe this one's more in the shadow. We don't know, right? Okay, while I still have the orange on my brush, I'm just going to pull a little green onto it and do those stems, and then I'm going to come back to this squash right here. Okay, this one is called Bright Green. I don't like a really dark or bright, green for these kinds of things, so the fact that I have the orange on my brush is actually going to help. See, it's a little more muted, and I'm just going to tap that in there. You could use the tip or the edge of that brush and just pull that in there. And we also have that wet paint on there a little bit from the black, so that works out great. And I'm going to pull it in just a little bit to those lines that I painted initially. And I'll just tap this in here to this middle one. And get this guy too. I went over a little bit in the middle. I'm not too worried about it. Nobody will really notice it later. Okay, and pull it out slightly just to those lines. And you start to see everything coming together. And now I'm going to take, I haven't rinsed my brush yet, I still have a little orange on there. I'm going to take that green and we're going to work on the squash. Now I'm going to do sort of alternate lines. I'm going to start with, let me mark out what I'm going to do for this green. So I'm going to do every other. And this one's behind because this pumpkin is in front. So we have that overlap going on. And I think I have a little bit there, and there is a little one back here. Actually, this one will come up. So let me come up with this. And you can just have these rough strokes here. I got a lot of black there, so I will figure that out. Let me add a little more black to the base since it's on my brush. See how you just keep on working these colors into your painting. Don't worry about that. It's all good. I could even just dry it real quick, rinse off my brush. Hey, Sally. Hey, they're looking a little rough right now, but they are going to get better pretty soon. So thank you for saying that. That was very nice of you. But as soon as we get a little more time in on these, more layers, the first layer always looks a little rough and then it starts to get better. So that black that I painted on there, see how bright that is? I'm not loving that. So let me take a little bit of this parchment color. I'm going to bring that in and we're going to make that a little lighter on the top here. Okay, so just touching that in there. The more you add, you don't have to cover it completely. The more you add, the more interesting things go. And see how I went out of the lines there? That's okay. This is going to have a little bit of a stippled look in a minute because we're going to, you don't usually have like definite stripes like that. So I'm going to take my brush here. I'm just going to pull up from the bottom. Okay, I'm going to take more of that parchment on my brush and just come in those every other one and just bring this up. Okay, and then I'm also going to have, I have that light green and the parchment color mixed in together. So I'm just going to tap that kind of on the top of my stems. Okay, see how I'm just tapping in there, but I'm going to do it mostly on the right side. That's going to start to give a little bit of dimension and it's going to make them look a little more 3D. I'm going to tap that in here over on this side, and we can also bring it in on this side a little bit. Okay, so just a little bit of light coming on now, and we can work on that later too. I don't want to fill up everything with the light, but it's going to start making everything look a little bit more like it's three-dimensional. Okay, a little bit on the top there, and then I can just blend these a little bit if I want. See what I think of the color. I think I will get a little, I'll rinse off my brush and then I'm going to dry it. And I'm going to take just a little of that parchment on it, a little bit of the yellow. I haven't shown you guys that one yet. This one is just a medium yellow. I'm going to mix these up a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of stipple. I'm just going to give a little bit of a bounce onto those lighter ones. Okay, so I'm just taking my brush and tapping it on there like this. Get more if you need it. Just giving it a little effect. Okay, and I think I might do that on the other ones too. Do the lighter colors first, and then this is going to give it that texture that's going to make it look kind of fun. All right, it looks a little better, a little more like a squash. And I'm going to come back to my pumpkins in a couple minutes, but I think I will do a white swirl in the sky. So really rinse your brush off. And if your water is starting to look really murky like mine, when you rinse it, just give it a good pat here, and then it will be good to go. All right, so I know this isn't white. We're going to start with the parchment. If I need white, I can grab it, but we'll see how it looks. And if you're nervous about this, you could take a piece of chalk or something. I'll just do it with a pencil. I think that's all I have right here. And I'm going to have that Van Gogh swirl. So it's going to come sort of like this. So down, up, and around. Okay, so like that. And then it comes down from here and makes a smaller swirl here. Okay, something like that. But if you don't want to do the swirl, you don't have to. So make sure you don't have a ton of paint on your brush. Let's just try it out with our brush sideways first, and we'll see how that's working. Okay. Or you could take this brush and do the same thing. But I'm thinking it's going to be fine. So I'm going to go to the top of where I kind of drew that line and put my brush flat. And then I'm just going to come in and around, something like that. And then I'm going to come back. And I think I am going to need the white here because I think it might look white on the screen, but when I'm looking at it here, it looks too kind of creamy. I don't have a regular white, so I'm just going to use what I have right here. So just use any white that you have. And hello everybody, if you're coming in, we are doing some Van Gogh pumpkins, some Starry Night pumpkins. And I'm just going to go back over that white, okay, or that parchment color I'd used, and then get that idea for that swirl, okay? And then we are going to leave that for a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of white to the blue, or I actually added the parchment. It doesn't matter, either one. Oh, I think I grabbed some orange. That's going to give me brown if I mix my orange and my blue. So let's get a spot where it's clean. I know you probably can't see this part, but I'm just mixing up a little bit of the white and blue, and I'm just going to come and add a little bit kind of in the background just to start to get some of those other swirls going. Okay, and we're going to add to that as we go along. So it looks like a mess right now, but fear not, it will all be fine. Okay. All right, so, oh, hello, Jeannie. Nice to see you. Yeah, we're still working on those pumpkins. Right now, it looks like we have a mess. We did quite a bit with our squash, but we're going to add a little bit more to that as well before we're done. All right, so I'm going to go back to the pumpkins. I'm going to get some orange, and I'm going to get some white, and I'm just going to come in and add a little bit. So let's start with the orange. We'll kind of go back to those areas where the orange was. And I'm going to add a little white on my brush here just because that black was pretty powerful back there. And you can just tap in. If you want to use a smaller brush, you could do that. Okay. And I haven't decided whether or not I should use a palette knife for these. Anybody like using a palette knife? Okay, let's go back here. I'm going to grab some white here too. And this one I think I'll make a lighter pumpkin color. It looks pretty light right now, but bear with me, it'll be good. I don't know, there's something nice about fall, isn't there? It's just such a nice time of the year and so peaceful, and the weather gets a little cooler, although I love going to the beach, so I can't really complain about the summer because that's one of my favorite times of the year. All right, I'm going to get some more orange, and I'll take orange and yellow on my brush now, and I'm going to go back to this pumpkin. And that, when I added that white in there, it kind of helps lighten it up, just to make it a little different from this pumpkin. So that's quite a bit of yellow. Let me go back and add more. And I'm just kind of blobbing it on there at this point. So if you don't like this style where I'm kind of plopping it on there and letting it have some marks showing, you don't have to do it this way. There's so many different ways of doing your artwork, but I kind of like having some of those paint lines showing. I'm going to try just tapping it on there a little bit and seeing how it's looking. So I've got a lot of white there, but I'm going to add a little bit more purple. So pretty to say purple, orange, and then seeing how it looks. So that's one way to get that palette knife effect, okay, by doing it something like that. But you can always take a palette knife, and so you use your fingers for shading. Yeah, I love that, Jeannie. So I could take it and flatten it on top of my, just tap it on my orange, and then you can just add it like this, okay? And then maybe I want to dip into the white, and I'm going to add a little bit of that. Look, how cool is that, right? So I think it's kind of fun to do that. I like what Jeannie was saying about trying using your fingers. We're actually going to use our fingers for some of the areas in the sky. Okay, so when we do our stars, we're going to do some of that. Okay, so this will, I'm going to get a little more of the white in here. And it's kind of a mess at times, but gives it a kind of a fun look. So if you don't have a palette knife, try your fingers like Jeannie was saying. You can always scrape it off or move it around, see what you think you like. Okay, I could even add a little bit of green in here. So let me just come in here, and I'm just going to add a little bit. I think I probably added too much there. But if you don't try something, you'll never know if you liked it or not. So too much there, scrape some off, and just move it around. I'm going to put this back for a second here so I can get this going. A little bit of orange will probably cover that up. Gives it a little bit of dimension there, right? If you don't like it, guess what? You let it dry, or you, yeah, I would let it dry probably. I mean, I could try covering it up a little bit right now. Tap some of that on top. Actually, I like this natural color too. That looks good. What do you think? Do you guys like the palette knife look? I'm going to tap a little bit up here. I have the orange on my brush, but look at how cool that looks, right? I know I shouldn't be admiring my own artwork, but I just love when something gives you an unexpected result. So sometimes you just got to try things. Like I'm adding a little orange in here while it's still on my palette knife. And suddenly that kind of makes it look so much more interesting, don't you think? All right, so let's add some orange onto this pumpkin, and we'll do a little yellow too. So I've got orange and yellow on my palette knife. Do you guys like that look? What do you think? Or do you think it looked better before? So you can kind of go sideways if you want. You can add a little white to what you just had and see how that blends in there. Okay, or if you don't like it, you scrape it and then reuse it somewhere else. Okay, so that's adding quite a bit. I'm going to just move my, okay. Let me add some more of the orange on here. And this area back here is pretty dark. So I mean, I'm gonna take my brush, and these are not the best paints for doing palette knife work, but you can still get some good results. It's better I think if your paint is a little thicker, it'll just apply a little better. Okay, so I just added white and orange on there. I'm gonna wiggle it back in this spot, take my finger, do the genie method. Thanks, Randy. Thank you so much. Okay, I think this guy here needs a little more, right? Let's try just doing the yellow in here. Add a little more yellow over here. You can use both sides of your knife. Grab some more orange. And I think this little area here is a little over the top. I'm going to add a little bit into my stem there. A little bit here, a little more orange to my squash. And this area at the bottom will be covered up. Let's go and just tackle this area a little bit. It dried a little bit, so I think it's okay. I think this still needs some. What do you guys think? Try white and orange. And I'm just going to tap in there and then okay, that's better. Got a whole bunch of stuff on my brush here. White, orange, yellow. Just have fun with it. See what's looking good to you. And if you don't like this look, just try it without the palette knife. I know people have used credit cards for this technique, so there's all kinds of ways to do it. All right, maybe a little bit of green on here. I'm going to kind of blend it on the plate here so I can just add a little bit. Yep, that looks better. Green and white. Oh, I grabbed some orange. Always those happy accidents, right? Okay. And I'll rinse this off now. And that sky is looking pretty atrocious, right? So let's get back to that. All right, I'm going to take my brush. This big one, I had it soaking for a little bit. I'm going to just rinse that off. And we're actually going to do our finger painting right now. But let me see. I think I need to do some white. So I have this number 4 round brush and wet it. And then we're going to take it into the white. And then we are going to go ahead and start doing these little lines, okay? You're not trying to be super uniform. This is where you can kind of have fun and be bold. Okay, so I'm going to just go in those lines that I just did for that swirl. And don't forget, if you are planning to do the background or the edges, you could do those as you're going along. Just for time's sake, I am going a little faster. So keep on reloading your brush. And then as I go next to that swirl, I am just following the pattern. And I'm going to keep an eye out for my stems, anything that I have going on there. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to dip it into the white, and I'm going to put a circle, kind of a bigger circle right around here. Okay, so you don't have to be perfect, but you're making that area for the moon. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing, but maybe we're going to tap some off so it's not quite as much, or if you need to, get your paper towel or your rag, and then you're going to make some smaller circles. So maybe see what you have room for. I'm going to do this just to get an idea of where my circles are going to go. So you could even just tap, 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 whatever you have room for, maybe, and then come back to those areas and make those a little bit, then you can spread out that paint, okay? So we're seeing how this is going to work out. Let's see, do I want to have any more? I think this one I'll make a little bit bigger to look like the original painting. And then while I still have the white on my brush, I'm going to just do these little areas. So we're going to just come around the outside of our stars that don't look like stars, or our moons. Okay, and we're just going to make some little round dashed lines. Make sure you have enough paint on your brush. Just keep on reloading. It's okay if it's thick on here. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Jeannie. That's nice of you to say. I think I grabbed the wrong. Okay, yeah, I've got white and I have the parchment color. So probably you could get away without that parchment color. I was thinking it would look better with the pumpkins, but in the way that we're doing this, I think we'll just stick with the white when I do my supply list for my Artsy Moon Paint Club. So I have a membership and we do all kinds of paintings. So this one will be one that I give them the full supply list and all of that. But if you are interested in the tracer, just put tracer in the comments and I will get that to you, and you can kind of figure it out by looking at my supply list, or you can figure that all out here. But that's stuff I usually include for my membership, and see how now I'm gonna just see what I have. If I've already put down circles here, I can go ahead and add these circles here, but probably don't need to really overlap. If you overlap, it's okay though. All right, now I gotta be careful here. I'm gonna just do a little highlight of my stem just so I'm aware of it. I don't want it to disappear, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of a line there, and then this part is gonna be coming across, and then this is the part that goes over. But I'll add more to that in a little bit. So if you're coming on, say hi. If you would like the tracer, just mention that, and I'll make sure I get that to you. We'll do more highlights here, but I just added those little bits so I don't go over with my my lines here. Okay, and remember how I kind of went with my paintbrush earlier with that big brush? I was doing some swirly lines just to get some work done already with that. And I covered up some of it with the stars, but I can kind of now go back and fill in. And you can have a couple of these lines like this. And this is the part where you could just keep on going and having a lot of fun with it. Keep reloading your brush. You don't want to be wimpy on it here. We're not trying to make it perfect. We are just starting to get some ideas of how these swirls are looking, and we're showing movement with our hands. Okay, so stick with me. It still looks a little awkward, but we will get there. And by the time we're done, you're probably going to have something you're going to love. Okay, I'm going to come down here a little bit. Who thinks they're going to try it? Are you going to try it? Let me know. What do you think? I'd love to see what you create, and you can share with me on my page over the Artsy Moon. It'd be really fun to see everybody's art. If you want to use a smaller brush, you could use a smaller brush, but you also don't want to take, you know, a long time on it, unless it's a masterpiece. Maybe it's going to be your Van Gogh masterpiece, right? Okay, I rinsed my brush, and I'm going to get some of that white and mix it up with my ultramarine blue to get a little lighter blue color on there. I'm going to need quite a bit more, so let me get some more of that mixed in. So ultramarine and white. And then we're going to go back to this giant swirl, and it doesn't matter what's underneath there, but let's go ahead and start working on that with this light blue. Okay, so find that original more or less that we kind of drew it underneath, or painted, I should say. That's fun, right? Painting is so much fun. And I'm going to also go and overlap a little bit around some of my other stars, some of those other areas. Right down here, you can just come right next to the white and follow along that swirl line. Let's see what's happening up there on the screen. Sometimes it's easier for me to see what's going on. All right, I'm going to leave that. We're still going to come back and add more to that. Take your finger again, and if you still have yellow, you're going to take the yellow, and we're going to mix it in a little bit with the white. Okay, so I've got yellow and white here. Find a clean spot on your palette, and then we're going to go and make this whole thing yellow. Okay, it might have a little bit of white on the outside, and that's fine. Okay, and then I'm just going to do that. If I have that yellow still on my finger, I can go back and add to the middle of each of these stars. Okay, where else? I think, is that it? Did I do any more stars? I think I had one over here maybe. I don't know. Whatever, you can make it up, okay? And then we're going to take the orange, and I'm going to use the orange to make a moon there later, a crescent moon. But in the meantime, let me add some more ultramarine. Just by itself, I think it needs a little bit more of that ultramarine. And at this point, if you wanted to do the purple in there, you could add purple lines in there as well. So hopefully everybody's having a good day. I'm using an 11 by 14. Hello, Marta. It's great to see you. 11 by 14 inch canvas, and just something fun to do. All right, now I'm going to take this time, instead of going really fast, I'm going to go a little more slowly and cover up a little bit of that edge that I did earlier. You know, when I did the big swooping wide line for that classic Van Gogh swirl. And my paint is coming out pretty thick here, so don't worry if that happens. That is a-okay. Okay, and I just want to have it not look like a solid line. So there's different ways to do this kind of sky. This is just one way. And if you like it and you try it out, please, please, please tell me what you think. Show me a picture. That would be wonderful. Okay. So I'm just going, and I'm going to hide a little bit of that edge with my dashed lines. It's funny, when I was teaching art, kindergarten through 5th grade, the main thing, you know, is these little lines. Lines can be so expressive, and it's just like a little line, and yet it gives you this feeling of movement. It gives you so much interest to your artwork. Okay, I mean, just people don't realize a little line is how it all starts, and it's just a beautiful thing, right? All right, so I'm just going to keep on adding these. I can go a little faster now because I did that one area. It's very wild and crazy, isn't it? So if this is too bold for you, yeah, we used sprinkled you out. Thanks, Jeannie. Yeah, if anybody wants to do that, I would definitely appreciate it. If you want to have smaller lines, let me show you what that would look like. I'll just get a smaller brush. This one's pretty small. I'm not going to use it for most of it, but I will just give you an idea. So you could take, let me do some white with this. See how tiny these lines are going to be. But if that is more your style, you want a little bit finer details, you'll just have to keep on reloading. But honestly, hey, maybe this would be a good thing. We can add some of those little lines in here, and it's going to give it even more personality, because we used, I'm sorry, Marta, we used a palette knife for those pumpkins. This might be a good thing if you want to have it a little bit more interesting. This is a number 0. Okay, and you can just vary the size of your lines then, and then you're creating that interest. Okay, so we're going to go in and fill in any little spots where there were spaces that were open. So even around those stars. And I might, if I see a big gap where there's no little dashed lines, I can come in with my small brush. See, everything happens for a reason. We talk about it, we figure it out. You could make more lines around these stars too. Okay, I'm going to come around here. It's just fun, right? It's a fun painting. Mr. Van Gogh knew what he was doing, obviously. And so incredible. It's just fun to try these things out and see what our style is, because we don't always know what our style is right away when we start painting. So I'm going to bring these down here. Am I missing any areas? Okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to just use this little brush, and I'm going to take some white, and I don't know if I have any orange left. Let me get more orange. I need quite a bit of orange for this one. Okay. So mix in a little bit of white, a little bit of orange. If you're feeling nervous and you would like to draw in your crescent moon, you can do that. But I'm going to pull. Check out what I'm doing. I got that little mix in there. Pull and twist. Pull and twist, and that gives me a nice point on my brush. Okay, so we're going to start with the letter C. So we're going to have the edge right over here, and say the top is going to be about here, and the bottom of our C is going to be about there. And then I'm just going to start to make that letter C. Okay, and if it doesn't seem quite big enough, then you can extend that. Yeah, I love the movement in the background, Marta. It's so important to make our art look like it's moving, if that's our goal for that painting. And obviously that's one of our big goals for this one, right? And we don't always have to have a goal, but it just is fun to have something we're working toward. So yeah, there's a ton of movement. Maybe it's a little too much. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. And I'm just making that the points on the end of the C here, and now I'm going to fatten it up a little bit. And if it's not complete, I did add the white to that orange just so it would be a little bit less translucent, but we'll see what we need to do. Okay, so I'm going to fatten it up. And you don't have to have the moon in your painting. You could just make a bunch of stars too if you'd like. I think mine's a little small. I might have to go bigger. Okay, so got to keep on getting more paint on your brush. All right, do you think that looks big enough? What do you think? I don't know. We'll see. And what happens if you mess up? Who can tell me? I know, I'm like back at school, right? It's just a matter of letting it dry, and if it was too much for what you wanted, then you just let it dry and you come back to it. So mine's a little bit curved. It's like really closed in. So if I don't like that, I can always come back later. But I'm going to put some yellow on my brush, some white on my brush. I'm just going to blend those in a little bit. Okay. Ooh, I got some clumpy areas here. It's really great to see you too, Marta. It's wonderful when Marta is also a painter, and she just does beautiful art, and I'm in her membership, so I enjoy that, because even when you're an artist and you love painting and stuff, you still want to get inspired by other people. So it's really nice to be able to have friends who love the same things that you love. And I'm going to make that a little more orange. Now I made it a little bit too light. I haven't tried this one. Oh man, I haven't tried this one for so long. And actually I never did it with paint. I did it with, what color is that yellow underneath? I did it with, what did we use? We used oil pastels. We used, I think, tempera cakes. So if you ever work in the schools, you can use tempera paint, but see how I'm going to have to fix that a little bit later. Here I am talking and talking. All right, I'm going to take some, I'll fix that later, but I'm going to take a little bit of that orange and just add it to my star. Okay, my little lines. Remember, these little brushes don't have a lot of ability to hold onto. Yes, thank you, girls. So nice of you. You have to keep on reloading, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so I'm going to add the orange. And if you notice this area right here where the blue is underneath, it is very dark. So you might have to go back if you're using one of these little brushes, okay? Because otherwise it kind of disappears. So my moon needs a little work. I think I was talking too much. That's what happens, right? And let me just see here. Let's add some white to that area too. We're going to add a little bit of white. And these white lines are going to kind of blend in, but we can also add some yellow. So I got to find some yellow that's not too messed up. And then we can add those along the edge too. So this would be a great one for you to just try out and experiment and see what catches your fancy, what seems to appeal to you. Little brush, the more bold strokes. There's so many things that you can do with this. I think I need to put some more yellow on. I'm running out. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry you guys can't see my palette, but it's a mess anyway. I don't know if it would make any sense. Okay, here we go. And I can add some of those yellow strokes in here too. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the orange first. So I can put my pinky down like this and make some of these little strokes right around the stars. Okay, that's the orange. I can go into the yellow, and then even if I've got the white there, it doesn't matter. It's going to allow me to put the yellow on top of it. Okay, so you can do that with all of your stars. And the last thing we could do for each of these stars is put a little bit, maybe we can dip in with our finger. Well, I think that's going to be too much. So we're going to take, let me get my finger clean, a little cleaner, and we'll just put a dot on these. And then you can come in with your brush and make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Don't worry about it being perfect or precise. This is just your expression. This is just a way for you to have fun with your art. Very loose painting. There's lots of ways you could personalize this. I think for this one I will go out a little bit. Okay. All right. Oh, that's a little bit wonky. Let me try to make it a little bit more. Can always, I'm looking at the screen and that helps me to see what things are doing. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marta. That was sweet of you. I miss them too. I got some of my coworkers had their kids write letters to me, and I was reading them this morning. And, try not to cry because I do miss them too. But sometimes you have to make some hard choices, and I know they're going to do great no matter what. So you know what? I'm going to fix this by putting a little white around, and nobody will know the difference, right? Okay, there we go. And then I'll get a little more orange on here, and I still have the white on my brush, so a little more orange. And just play with it till you're happy with the moon. You know what? It might not look perfect. It might not look like Van Gogh's, but it's my pumpkin. It's my moon. So I will just be happy with it. Okay, so I'm going back to the orange here to go around. I'm going to go do all of those before I forget some of them. And then we still have to do our grass on the very bottom here. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I switched to this little brush because it makes a difference, I think, for these stars to have it a little smaller. All right, and then yellow, if you'd like. And I still didn't really rinse my brush, but your choice. This one's a bigger star. I think I heard somewhere that that's supposed to be actually like Venus. Van Gogh is thinking of like the morning star, if I'm right about that. Anybody know? If you know, let me know. And I'll just do these little guys so I don't forget about them. And I like to make sure I connect all my colors in my paintings. So we'll see if I need to add any more yellow to my pumpkins to kind of tie into these stars. If I do, I can always come back. I think this one's a little bit dark. Let me just add a little bit more yellow to this one. Make it more of a brighter, bigger star. What do you guys think? I think that looks a little better. All right. So I might add yellow highlights to my pumpkin. We'll see if it needs it in a few minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and add my grass now. So I'm going to take this. You love my fingers? Ah! Oh, Brandy, yes, I hope you try it out because, yes, that would be really cool. Brandy says, I may attempt this, but add some glow in the sky, in the dark paint for the starry sky. Yeah, that would be fun. And honestly, these strokes are not hard. They're just fun and something different to try. All right, so what I'm going to do first is take some of my black. It's really goopy at this point. And I'm going to mix it in with some of my green. So I got lots of black, and I'll probably need to get more green, but I want to have a dark color in the background. So my first grass strokes, I'm going to add a little water because if it gets to be really thick, it's hard to do grass strokes. And so I've got a lot of paint on here. I'm going to just start at the bottom. Let me come over here on this side so you can see, and just pull up. And just do it every so often, okay? Don't worry if you run out of paint, it's okay. You just keep on going and make your strokes go one way, straight up and down. They could go a little diagonal. You just want to cover up the spot that you did not have the paint on. If you're coming on for the replay later, go ahead and type in replay just so I know that you got to see it. And if it's still not showing enough, like if it's still running out of paint, get more paint on your brush and then come back. Okay, see how I added water to it? That will help. Oh, that one went really high. If I need to, I could fix that right away, but I like having the variety in the grass strokes. Don't you think it looks a little better when they're all different sizes, different angles? Okay, now we're just going to move to the green. So I still have the black on my brush. I'm going to pull off some more green and then get a different shade of green. Here we go. That's a little bit better than just bright green. And pull and twist, pull and twist. Hey Marie, how are you? It's so nice to see you on. Paint Happy says, I was designing a painting for a girls' paint party and now I'm glued to your tutorial. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm so glad to see you too, Marie. So we just keep on doing the same thing. We're going to have that dark green. Oop, I went crazy with that one. But no worries, right? What's the worst? If I hate it, I can let it dry and repaint. Here's what else I could do. I could clean off my brush. I could take a little bit of water on there and then get a paper towel and then just press and pull off some of that paint. You can also get a baby wipe and do the same thing. But in the end, nobody's going to really, oops, sorry about that. Nobody's really going to notice too much. Okay, so let me get more paint on here. So I'm doing the dark, the green with the black mix. I'm doing the green with just a little bit of the black. I'm going to mix some yellow with my green, and then I'm going to do some white highlights at the end. Okay, so this part right down here at the bottom, I'm going to take, after I finish this layer, I'm just going to take my brush and just kind of tap at the bottom because I don't want that white showing. So I'm kind of going up and down, just tapping in there, and that's going to make sure that I have that edge or that bottom layer covered. Definitely don't want the white showing. Okay, so Venus is to be, okay, ugh, I can't talk, Jeannie. Venus is believed to be in this painting. Okay, so that, from what I heard, it was this one right here. You guys think I need a little bit of yellow in there? Okay, see what I do? I get distracted. What do you think? Do you like that better, or do you think it would have been better with white? Or I still could add the white, right? Like I said, you could just go crazy with your own rendition of this. So I'm going in here with the green, making sure I have everything covered at the base. And make sure I don't forget that because that's important. But mostly have your lines going up and down because that's the direction of the grass, and you don't want to forget that. Okay, so I'll just go across one more time here at the base. So don't just do a line straight across. You want to make sure you fill that in. All right, now let's go ahead, add some yellow and green together. The green is going to be more powerful. So you could do even more than 4 blends here. This one's more like a lime I've got here, so maybe I'll do that. I think we're going to just get carried away here. All right, so a little water in there to loosen it up. Pull and twist to get that point, and then you're just starting at the bottom and flicking it up. And some of them could be a little higher, like this one. Some could be right at the bottom and coming up. And if you do want smaller grasses or tinier lines, just go as lightly as you can. If you want it to be heavier, you push, and then you're going to have a fatter piece of grass. So it will happen automatically when you start doing this. But it's really, your preference on how your paintbrush hits the canvas and what you end up doing. All right, now I've got those. I'm going to just take yellow on my brush, mix that up with that green still on there, get some water, a little more yellow, a little more water, pull and twist, and then just keep on going. So this is very similar to my last color. So if you don't think it's yellow enough, you can just get more yellow in there. That's a little different. Okay. I know there's not a lot of yellow grass, but as we get toward fall, then we start to have the change of season, so you might see a little more yellow in the grass. And some white in there. Blend some white in there. It's just fun. I love color blending. Anybody else like color blending? Okay. And I'll just keep on going until I feel like I have done enough with these colors. So this is supposed to be white, but I have a lot of that yellow in there, so I don't want it to be pure white anyway. So this will just give it a little highlight. And if you think it's pretty good, take a picture and see if you can spot any areas that you have lost or left out little area, or I can't even talk. If you have any spots where you feel it needs something, you can go back in. And if you need to, you can always go back to one of your darker colors and just add a little bit to create some depth. So see how the dark green here with the black and green mixed together, it just gives it a little more dimension. And then if you need to find any of your lines, I would go back to that dark green and see if there's anywhere you want to add. So maybe if I want to tap in a little bit at the base of my stem, I could do that. If I could round it out a little bit, maybe I need to find these lines a little bit. If I need a little water in there, add a little water just so you can get those lines the way you want them. And I don't necessarily do solid lines here. I just kind of tap in and do it as needed. You do, Marta? Yeah. Okay, so I think that one's okay. I might add a little shadow on the left side of each one here. Just a little bit at the base. Maybe a little more up here. So I'm just feather lightly adding. If I added too much, same thing, just blend it in or let it dry and then come back. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit on the bottom of these ones. Find these lines a little bit. And this one right here. I'm going to get some water in my brush, loosen that up. So I had the black there where I started. Remember when at the very beginning, if you saw that part, I had the black lines to make sure I knew where my lines were going to be for my segments. And then now I'm adding the green. So it's not quite the same and gives it a little more interest. So a little bit on the left side toward the bottom especially. Okay. And feel free to do that. Okay, so what am I needing? Who can tell me? Anything, you guys? What do you think? Maybe some highlights, and then we're probably close to being done. So I'm going to just get a little white on my brush, and then I'll just give it a little bit here and there. A little more up here. Maybe right here, because that's getting the glow of the moon. A little bit here. And you know what I do need to do? I need to add a little bit of my stem or my vine. I think I lost it. So I'm going to get my black. It's been sitting here for how long have I been on? A while, at least an hour. So pull and twist. If you want to use the small brush for this, you can. This is pretty dry here, so I'm just gonna this is behind, and then this went in front, okay? And then my vine a little bit just like that, just to curl it around however you like, okay? And it doesn't show up too much, but if that's important to you, you can add it. I could just keep on playing, you guys. It's fun to play, right? So I hope you had fun watching. If you get to paint one, please make sure that you share. I would love, 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 love to see it. Yes, I think the highlights do it, Marta, right? That's like one of the most important 2 minutes of your painting sometimes, is getting those highlights in there. And not forgetting the shadows too. And I'm going to just round this one off a little bit. And here. Okay. I went back to the black here if anybody's wondering. Just a little bit. See, I can always overdo it here. I think I need to stop. Can I do one more thing? One more thing. Okay. One more thing. A little bit. I think I need a little bit here. I've got white on my finger. Just going to add a little bit there and a little bit to give it a little glow here. Okay. I think I like that better. Oh, no, I did too much with the white. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, I promise. It's not going to be, it's okay. Give me 1 second. A little bit of yellow. And we'll tap a little yellow in there. Okay, I think that's it. Are we done? You know what? We could keep on going, but we're going to stop because that's enough for one day. Try it out. Let me know if you want the tracer. I will be glad to give you the tracer. I have one here. I was going to show you what it looks like, but if you, oh, haha, there it is. Hold on. There it is. Okay, so I will send this to you if you are interested, and then it'll be super duper easy to try it out. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much for painting with me, and I'll see you over at the Artsy Moon. And that's it. All right, have a great day, everybody. Bye.